Welcome back once again to the Winning Ed's YouTube channel. So today's video is about analogy. So analogy is a topic in your intelligence test. So whenever you are appearing for the Sainik School class 9th entrance examination, you get questions related to analogy. So we have to understand that what do we mean basically by the term analogy. So these are few of the topics that we'll be covering in the coming videos as well. So firstly, we are starting with analogy, but there are other topics that are being covered up in your intelligence test syllabus like classification, series, coding, decoding, and so on. Now children, let's understand that what do we mean by this term known as analogy. Analogy basically means similarity or resemblance. How are things similar to each other, or how are certain characteristics or traits in a kind of we can say that resembling the other one. So analogy, it is basically a word used in terms of when we are comparing two things or we are trying to find out the relationship between two things. Now we have to understand that how are we going to apply this analogy and what kind of questions can be based on the topic analogy. Okay, so there are various categories of analogy that we need to understand. What kind of questions can be framed on analogy that we have to see? Some questions can be based on number analogy. How are one pair of numbers similar to the other pair of numbers? Or how can one alphabet be similar to the other alphabet? Or how can one word be similar to the other word? So these are the various ways in which we can get questions related to analogy. So we can categorize them and say that it can be numerical analogy, it can be alphabetical analogy, or it can be word analogy. Now we have to see what can be the examples. These are just the terms, but we have to see certain examples so that when you are appearing for your examination. So not just for Sainik School, but for other competitive examinations also you get questions based on all these topics that I have told you that are covered up in the intelligence test. So you have to analyze the pattern. Whenever you see a question in front of you, you have to basically analyze the pattern, that how are two pair of words similar, and similarly you have to find out the pattern in the given question. So for example, they are asking you, they are giving you a similar term. You have to understand that analogy and adopt that analogy to find the similar pattern in the question that they are asking. So let's see a sample question based on analogy. Find the odd one out from the given options. Book, author. Art, artist. Invention, scientist. Pottery, potter. Patience, doctor. So in this particular question, they are saying that one pair is dissimilar and the rest all pairs are following a analogy. So you have to see that which is not following that particular analogy. So find out the relationship between a book and an author, the relationship between an art and an artist, the relationship between an invention and a scientist, the relationship between a pottery and a potter, and similarly between a patient and doctor. And then try to find out, according to you, which one do you think that is sharing similar analogy and which particular option is not sharing that particular analogy. So which one is different from the other. So you all know that who is an author? Author is a person who writes books. Okay. Artist is a person who creates art. Scientist is a person who invents something. Okay. Potter is a person who works on pottery. So when we are looking at all these options, then we are finding that one of these options is dissimilar. One of these options is not following the basic pattern that is in the other four. Okay, so in this we find that patience and doctor is different from the rest of the others. It is not following the analogy that is mentioned in the four of the options. So that one will be not, we'll take that as our answer. So let's practice few more questions based on analogy. Okay, again in this question we are given certain options like Bangladesh, Taka, Brazil, Real, Japan, Yen, and Cyprus, dollar. Now we have to see that Bangladesh, Brazil, Japan, and Cyprus, these are the name of countries. Now we have to find out what are these taka, real, yen, or dollar. So as you all know, these are the currencies. So they have given us a country and a currency. So that is the analogy, country with currency. But we have to find that in one particular option, they have given us a mismatch. They have given us a wrong option. So we have to find out which country is having a particular currency that they have mentioned that is correct, and which one will be different from the others. If you know the answer, then you can type it in the comment section as well. So when we carefully analyze all these, we find that one of the currency is a mismatch. Okay, the currency of Japan is yen, the currency of Bangladesh is taka, but when we talk about Cyprus, the currency of Cyprus is a euro, but here they have mentioned it as dollar. So it is a mismatch. It is not following the analogy that is there in these three options. So that will be our answer. So you get these kind of questions that are based on analogy. Let's practice few more questions. So children, questions can be based on numeric pair of words also. That can be coming under the number or the numerical analogy. So here also we have to find the odd one from the given pairs. We are given numbers like 5:15, 24:70, 33:99 and 121:363. So we have to find out that how are three pairs similar and one pair dissimilar. So we have to find out that what is the relationship between 5 and 15, 24 and 70, 33 and 93, 121 and 363. There is a certain analogy. So if we see that 5 times 3, that is 15. So it is a multiple. If we see 24 into 3, if we see 24 into 3, do we get 70? No, we don't get 70. If we see 33 into 3. So 33 into 3, do we get 99 as it is given over here? Yes, we get 99. So it is again a 3 times multiple. Okay. If we talk about 121 into 3, do we get 363 as it is given here? 363. Yes, we get 363. So it is 3 times the number. This number multiplied by 3 times the number, what we are getting is the analogy. 5:15, 33:99, 121:363. But in the second one, it is not following this analogy. Second one, को जब हम 24 को हम 3 से multiply करते हैं, we are not getting 70. Okay, we are not getting 70, but we are getting a different number. So this one will be the odd one out. So this one will be your answer. So you can get analogy questions based on numbers as well. So one more thing that we have to remember in word analogy is that we can get lot of questions based on instrument and their measurement. So we have to remember that which particular instrument is used to measure what. So for example, in your option, they will tell you balance is to mass, and they will ask you that anemometer is to what. So you have to learn all the scientific instruments and what are these instruments used to measure. Few of the options are given here, that is mass, balance, distance, odometer. Mass को measure करने के लिए we use a balance, distance को measure करने के लिए we use a odometer, length को measure करने के लिए we use a scale, current को measure करने के लिए we use a ammeter. To measure a temperature, we require a thermometer. Maybe it is a digital or a clinical. To measure wind, we require anemometer. To measure earthquakes, we have a seismograph. To measure the thickness, we have a screw gauge. To measure strains, we have a tessometer. To measure blood pressure, we have a sphygmomanometer. Okay, so we are having various instruments to measure particular things. Mass, distance, length, current, ये सारी चीजें हैं. So you have to remember all these when you are talking about questions that are based on analogy, that can be based on instrument and measurement. So now let's see a sample question that is based on an instrument. Like they will give you a question that thermometer is related to temperature in the same way as hygrometer is related to what? तो थर्मामीटर से हम टेम्परेचर मेजर करते हैं. सो हाइग्रोमीटर से हम क्या मेजर करते हैं? सो द करेक्ट आंसर इज हाइग्रोमीटर से हम मेजर करते हैं ह्यूमिडिटी. The options given are strains, humidity, pressure and density. But if you know that hygrometer is an instrument that is used to measure humidity, so that will be your correct answer. Then again, more questions that are based on word analogy are study plus topic. किस चीज की स्टडी को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Like when we are talking about the study of earthquakes की study को हम बोलते हैं seismology. So they will give you a question like seismology is to earthquakes, so botany is to what? So this is again an analogy कि earthquakes की study को seismology बोला जाता है. So you have to learn in your GK lot of studies like insects की study को हम बोलते हैं entomology, plants की study को हम बोलते हैं botany, animals की study को हम बोलते हैं zoology, soil की study को हम बोलते हैं pedology, diseases, when we talk about diseases, so diseases की study को we call it as pathology, the study of diseases. Or when we're specifically talking about the study of viruses, then we call it as virology. Okay, so you have to memorize all these different branches of studies when you are attempting questions related to analogy. Okay, some more like the study of eggs. How do birds lay eggs? What is about their nesting? What is about their breeding? That study is called as oology. What is the study of shells called as? It is called as conchology. What is the study of the human past and the remains of the past? That is our artifacts called as? That is called as archaeology. The study of animals, that is called as zoology. The study of writings. How did we wrote manuscripts in the past? पुराने ज़माने में हिस्टोरिकल मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स और राइटिंग सिस्टम कैसे था उसके बारे में जो स्टडी होती है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज पेलियोग्राफी. द स्टडी ऑफ प्लैनेट्स इज कॉल्ड एज एस्ट्रोलॉजी. द स्टडी ऑफ स्कल इज कॉल्ड एज क्रेनियोलॉजी. इतनी सारी देयर आर लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ ब्रांचेस ऑफ स्टडी. So if you also know, if you know what is the study of the cosmos known as, just you can type it in the chat window. And if you know some more branches of studies like this, so please revise for this topic called as analogy. नेक्स्ट बर्ड्स की स्टडी को हम क्या बोलते हैं ऑर्निथोलॉजी. मैन की स्टडी को बोला जाता है एंथ्रोपोलॉजी. ओके, इंसेक्ट्स की स्टडी को बोला जाता है एंटोमोलॉजी. फॉसिल्स की स्टडी को बोलते हैं पेलेंटियोलॉजी. जब हम ह्यूमन हार्ट की स्टडी के बारे में बात करते हैं वी कॉल इट एज कार्डियोलॉजी. ह्यूमन बॉडी के बारे में जब हम स्टडी करते हैं देन वी कॉल इट एज फिजियोलॉजी. सो क्वेश्चन में ये रिलेटेड पेयर आएगा, एक पेयर गिवन होगा और सेकेंड पेयर में आपको एनालॉजी फाइंड आउट करनी होगी. आइदर दे विल गिव यू द ब्रांच, जैसे कार्डियोलॉजी दे देंगे तो आपको हार्ट बताना होगा, और अगर आपको हार्ट दे देंगे तो आपको बताना होगा कि हार्ट की स्टडी को हम क्या बोलते हैं. सो वी कॉल द स्टडी ऑफ हार्ट एज cardiology. So analogy based questions on study and topic. Next, let's see a sample question of this kind. Botany is to plants, entomology is to what? So the options given are snakes, insects, birds and germs. So I just told you that plants की study को हम botany बोलते हैं और entomology क्या होगा? It will be the study of insects. इंसेक्ट्स की स्टडी को हम क्या बोलते हैं? वी कॉल इट एज एंटोमोलॉजी. सो योर करेक्ट ऑप्शन विल बी ऑप्शन नंबर बी. ओके, नेक्स्ट लेट्स सी वन अनदर क्वेश्चन. ऑर्थोपेडिस्ट इज रिलेटेड टू बोन. ऑर्थोपेडिस्ट क्या होता है? एक डॉक्टर होता है जो हमारे बोन्स से रिलेटेड, हमारे मस्कुलोस्केलेटन से रिलेटेड कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, वी गो टू अ ऑर्थोपेडिस्ट. इन द सेम वे एज अ चिरोपोडिस्ट इज रिलेटेड टू. So he is also a doctor, but what does he specialize in? You have to tell from the options given like nails, sound, feet or heart. So if you know who is a chiropodist, you can just put it in the comment section. So the correct answer is a chiropodist is a person or a doctor who specializes. It is related to feet. Okay, so orthopedist is talking about the injuries that you have in your muscles or your joints or such related your skeletal system. So that person is an orthopedist. So this is a kind of question that is based on analogy. Then in word analogy, you can also get lots and lots of questions based on country and currency. So here we are having a few countries with their currencies in front of you, but for your examination, you have to memorize all the countries with their currencies and all the countries with their capitals as well. So the currency of Argentina is peso, the currency of Burma is kyat, the currency of Iran is rial, the currency of Korea is won, the currency of Uzbekistan is som, then the currency of Venezuela is bolivar and the currency of Vietnam is dong. So you have to memorize all the countries with their currencies if you correctly want to solve such kind of analogy questions. Let's see one more sample question. interest is to banker as salary is to what? Okay, options are prisoner, laborer, landlord or employee. So just find out the analogy. Banker, interest, salary. सैलरी किसको मिलती है? प्रिजनर को, लेबरर को, लैंडलॉर्ड को कि एम्प्लॉय को? कौन सा करेक्ट ऑप्शन होगा? यहाँ पे करेक्ट ऑप्शन होगा एम्प्लॉय. So first you have to find out the analogy and then only you can guess the correct answer. So correct answer for this is employee. Pitch is to cricket. Ring is to what? Okay. क्रिकेट क्या है? एक गेम है. क्रिकेट को खेलने के लिए you require a pitch. Then same analogy you have to find out with ring. Ring is for which particular game? Is it for hockey? Is it for boxing? Is it for football? Or is it for badminton? So the correct answer will be ring is to boxing. The arena, the area where you play, that is a ring. और कौन से game के लिए होता है ring? That is for बॉक्सिंग. तो इस तरह से आपको दे सकते हैं ऑप्शन की कोर्ट, किसी गेम को आप एक कोर्ट में खेलते हैं, किसी गेम को आप एक स्टेडियम में खेलते हैं. कुछ भी इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस जो हैं आपको आ सकते हैं. सो ऑल दीज आर योर जीके क्वेश्चंस. ओके, यू शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट स्पोर्ट्स, यू शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट कंट्रीज, यू शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट कैपिटल्स, यू शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट करेंसीज. Any kind of questions can be coming in your Sainik School examination in your topic analogy. And one more question. Drama is to director. Magazine is to what? Editor, reader, printer or publisher. Okay, you know that a person who is the whole sole responsibility, who is the person in charge of a drama is the director. Similarly, when we are talking about a magazine, a printed magazine, who is behind that printed magazine? Printer है, publisher है, reader is the one who reads the magazine, printer is the one who prints. Okay, but who is behind the draft of the magazine? कौन responsible होता है? The person is a editor. Okay, तो magazine का किससे analogy होगा? Editor. From all the options given here, just like a director is responsible for a drama, so for a magazine the person responsible is what is going to be published in that magazine. क्या क्या किस पेज पे आएगा, कितना content आएगा? The person will be a editor. So students, in this particular video on analogy, we have covered up and understood that what is the concept of analogy, what do we basically mean by the term analogy, and what can be the different types of questions that can be based on analogy. And in the next video, in the part 2 video, we'll be talking about more questions that can be based on number analogy or letter analogy. So if this video was helpful for you, you can just post it in the comment section. And in case you are having any queries, do let us know as well. So that's all for today. See you in the next video. Thank you.